Hello, it is me, Tyler Harris. I just wanted to talk to you real quick before we get to our episode today. This is actually going to be our final episode of Rewatchers on the Pod for a while. We may come back a little later, talk about some of the TV and movies we've been watching. But you may have noticed our upload schedule has been getting a little less regular, and the episodes you've been listening to for the last couple weeks have actually been recorded for a few months and already been done, and we just haven't uploaded them. And we are actually going to be focusing our energies on a new project that we are starting up, that we're trying to kind of get rolling. So we are going to go ahead and kind of close the chapter on Rewatchers on the Pod for now. But please stick around, enjoy this last episode, and stay subscribed, because we will be posting the first episode of our new project in this feed. So stick around and keep your eyes peeled. It'll probably be sometime around May or June that we are putting that up. But we appreciate all of you that have listened and taken the time to enjoy movies with us. And I think that if you've enjoyed listening to us for this, you will definitely enjoy our next project, which we'll be posting a little bit more on Twitter about, and like I said, posting that first episode here when it's ready. But yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you in a few months. Please enjoy this final episode of us talking about A Serious Man. Love you. All right, let's see. Let's do this. I'm going to be honest. It's been a few weeks. Welcome to the Rewatchers on the Pod, where we watch stuff and talk about it, increasingly more occasionally as time goes on. You're here with me, Tyler Harris, and
Gwen Hammer,
Tyler McKinley,
Justin Hammer.
And this week, we are finishing up our run of Coen Brothers movies. We watched the fourth Coen Brothers movie that we've watched, and it is called A Serious Man. If you have not watched A Serious Man, Tyler McKinley was kind enough to jot down the notes of every single thing that happened, so you'll be caught up and totally understand everything that we talk about during the podcast, which is so great. So here we go. Everything that happened in A Serious Man. A quote about being simple. An ice pick right in the Sorry, shit already, man. A radio that looks like a thermostat at a cheap motel. Math is such a bitch. If a Jewish girl yells Jesus Christ, does it still release the swear serotonin? Cy Abelman and Larry's wife have gotten close. Larry pulls a King David and Icarus all while fixing the TV. The Jolly Roger has a pool. Just accept the mystery. If someone could just bottle that sand. Look at the parking lot, Larry. The monthly record club wants its fucking money. Cy dies. That guy named Krause has Hebrew written on his teeth. Arthur's winning at gambling and the attention of the cops. Still going. Don't stop the clock. Larry stops by the achievements for the old weed and tea. Arthur gets arrested for mathematical sodomy. Marshak is busy. The goddamn pool is fucking empty. Just like in the Old Testament, baby Moses is given Korean bribe money before being sent off in a canoe to Canada, then shot. Smoking a fucker before the big B. Oh, hey, things are starting to look up. And they're down again. Way down. Oh, shit. That's really far down. And that's it.
pretty much.
There it is. Plain and simple. This is the simplest of the Coen Brothers movies.
Should call it A Simple Man.
Very easy to understand. Nothing
really?
paradoxical or weird about it.
Because every other movie I walked away with that feeling, and after this one, I was like, I get it.
Oh, okay.
I fucking get it.
I'm excited then.
It's
I'm very excited.
simple.
I'm very excited.
You should write to the Coen brothers and tell them that.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd love it.
It's my level.
Very simple.
Well, yeah. I mean, why don't you start us off?
Okay, all right, ready?
Yeah.
It is no one knows shit. There are no answers. There is no closure. Fuck you, audience, for thinking you'd get some.
That's just
I'm
all
trying-
their work.
I was gonna say, yeah, you
Yes, but this one is explicit. This is them summing up their work.
and this one is them quoting God saying that,
Yes.
so it's a little different.
But I'm right. That's what this movie is.
I can live with that, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that's yeah.
I mean, I don't think I realized until we've done this, like, how much all their work is about the same thing, essentially, just in a different viewport of it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that they're like so good at. I mean, I think a lot of what you peg like directors for is like very similar, like visual feels to a lot of their movies. And while the Coen Brothers have some of those, like the settings for their movies like vary pretty wildly. You know, and then there's something like we talked about kind of with No Country for Old Men, like the differences between that and Fargo, where like there's this, they've have the same humor, but the tone of it is just vastly different across their films. And so, yeah, it is, I think watching them all back, like kind of as we have kind of talking about them in depth in that way has been, has kind of shed a little more light on that for me as well, for sure. So, but yeah, so Justin and Gwen, you had not seen this prior to this viewing.
Correct.
We got Gwen's impressions, which I think were succinct and beautiful. Justin, what were your kind of like initial thoughts kind of on your first viewing of Serious Man?
Honestly, this we've kind of already touched on it a bit, but like seeing all the other movies that we've watched recently, I got to when the shot of the tornado at the end and then just credits, my initial thought was just like, what in the fuck is going on? Like throughout the movie, I was trying to pick up like anytime there's religious context or especially like things that have to do with like Jewish faith, and like I feel like there's more there that I'm just not aware of because I'm not super educated when it comes to stuff like that. So like we've talked about like Evangelion before, has like all this religious background and other related things, but I just like haven't I don't know enough about those subjects to like get it. That's how I felt this entire movie.
Wait for my theory about how these are companion pieces of Evangelion.
Right.
A Serious Man.
Yeah, this movie more than any of the other Coen Brother movies that we've watched just left me like, I mean, I enjoyed it, of course, but I don't have anything to really take away from this one.
We're done.
Honestly.
This is actually a good one to end our Coen Brothers thing on. I feel like if that's, I think that's I think that is like a totally valid thing about this movie, because there are, I mean, I think there are parts of this movie that are specifically about that, right? Like because I kind of think about the whole, is it Kraus? Is that the teeth guy?
Yeah.
Like that whole story is basically the idea of like,
Tell you about the guy's teeth?
yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, it means nothing. It's like that kind of is like this mini story within this movie that's like, yeah, this is the bigger picture as well. Just squeezed down the sleeves. Like, fuck it, who gives a shit?
Yeah, and
who
then
knows?
I think he asked like, well, what happened to the goy? And the guy's like, who cares?
Yeah.
And that was how I felt coming. Like, I am that guy. Like, that's me. Because I don't know anything. Like, I'm not familiar with any of this cultural stuff. Like, this is so far removed from my experience that, like, I am the goy. Who cares? I don't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like, I think something that, and we've kind of talked about this throughout the Coen Brothers work. Like we've talked about this idea of a relationship to a god or some higher power or a force that doesn't care, essentially. And this, I feel like, feels like the most explicit in that way, to going as far as being like, yeah, no, there is a God, and we love him, but nothing matters. Essentially, like, that doesn't matter. Our love means nothing. Like, it's such an interesting, and it should be more depressing than it is, I think. I still, like, kind of enjoy this movie. Like, just kind of have
Yeah.
a good time watching it.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was depressing at
No,
all.
no.
that's how I felt too. And it's labeled as like dark or black comedy or something, which I don't think it doesn't feel that way to me. Like when I think of like black comedy or dark, there's a distinction there. But like I think of that Jack Black movie where he plays like there's a guy who works in a mortuary and
Bernie.
Bernie, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking of, where it's like. Anyways, that's where my mind goes, and this doesn't feel anything like that. Like that, they bring in like the real life people that lived through the events, and they're like acting in the movie, and how fucked up that is too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, that's those are my thoughts there. So
Yeah.
You didn't think the scene where the wife and her boyfriend were like gaslighting Larry at the restaurant wasn't just amazing and hilarious?
Well, yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't funny. Like, I agree. Like, I just don't think that like the classification that I saw of it being a black comedy applies here.
Do you have a genre for it that you
I don't know.
put
I
it
mean,
in?
Coen Brothers comedy. I don't know. Like,
I don't know. I found it very stress-inducing
Yeah.
the first time I saw it. And, like, Inside Llewyn Davis, for me, is also very stress-inducing.
Sure.
And they're very similar in that way. And I guess in that way, I could see it being a black comedy if you're, like, me and was, like, really empathizing with everything. And, yeah, I don't know. There's something about that. But... man, I really like this movie. I don't know. This is one of my favorites of his, and
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
I think I like it more now than I did the first time I saw it. I'm in very different places now, and I think it's funny that you mentioned that like that it's so far removed, because like I also am so far removed from like Jewish and Hebrew culture. I don't know a lot about it, but at the same time, it felt very familiar. Like a lot of those things, I'm like, huh. We weren't so different after all. Like how I was brought up religiously, like a lot of the things felt very similar.
Well, the going to a religious leader saying, "What the fuck? Please help. Tell me what it
Yeah.
means." Like,
And get
I don't know about you guys, but I have had that
well,
experience.
I don't know. That's what I love about this movie, because like it is all. I mean, I think the biggest moment in this movie is when he's having that dream, that nightmare, and he's doing his big problem. He's like, so see, it all means nothing. And then Sai is in there. This is probably my favorite scene in the whole movie, and it's like a very important one because it tells what the whole movie is essentially. And he's, for some reason, I just can't get his line out of my head where he's just like, it's convincing, it's entertaining, but does it mean anything? And like, he's like, I'm a very serious man, Larry. But then he's or maybe it's not that scene. Is it this? It might be when he's with his students and it's actual class, and he's doing Schrodinger's cat.
Oh,
That's at the
okay.
very beginning, isn't
Is
it?
that the beginning?
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's what the whole movie is. The whole movie is one big Schrodinger's cat with a bunch of little Schrodinger cats all throughout it. It's like, well, did this happen? What is this like? And you know, if no one's around to see it, did it happen? Did it not happen? And that's what the whole movie is saying about God and a purpose to life. Essentially, is like, man, we don't really know, but we just know that it's really fucked up along the way.
that makes the opening scene make more sense to me now, because I didn't even think about that.
That's the very opening sets it up, because it's like you don't know, and you can pretend, and at the end you could maybe pretend to know that, oh yeah, but it only happened this far down the line or something, but it doesn't. I don't know. The only thing certain is death, and that's how the ending reads to me. Is like nothing is certain except death, and everything along the way is we don't. I don't know. I just love the Schrodinger's cat thing being throughout each scene, but then also the whole overarching idea of a Hebrew parable being throughout it as well. A lot of things happen in threes, like in parables. Obviously, there's the parable of the goy's teeth, which is very like he looked in his wife's mouth. He looked in his own mouth. Like all that stuff is so parable. The three different rabbis that he has to go to, and we finally get to that last one. It's through his son, and you expect something big, and he just says dumb bullshit about Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love all that shit. I love just this weird inclusion of like Hebrew parable structure with the fact that I mean, I'm just a sucker for nihilism because that's how I view the world. I'm very cynical, and yeah, it's like, oh yeah, just hit all my biases, please.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting too. Performances in the movie. I genuinely think Michael Stuhlbarg is like one of the most underrated modern actors we have. I was kind of like looking through because I was just like, he's in a ton of stuff, right? And I was like going back through, and I'm like, I think Michael Stuhlbarg might hold the record for being in the most like Oscar clips that he's not nominated for an Oscar for.
Is that the brother or
no, the main guy?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, because he he was in he's wonderful in Call Me by Your Name, Shape of Water. He's got a great like kind of like supporting part, but yeah, I feel like he's just an actor. He's just incredible in whatever he's in, and I love him in this movie. I think he's so perfect. But yeah, I think across the board, like there's so many great performances in this movie. And like as far as cohesive tone and like, I think it's interesting you mentioned Inside Llewyn Davis because this movie and Inside Llewyn Davis, we are like with those characters for almost the entire length of the movie. You know what I mean? They are present in just about every scene, apart from like those flashbacks or those stories that we hear, and I think because of that, some of that like the weight of their situations, I think, builds in a way that is maybe unique to those two movies in the Coen brothers like filmography. And I think that especially in this movie, like that build for that character until that moment of like I don't know if you want to call it resolution or lack of resolution, whatever, like that build to me is like so satisfying and feels so tightly paced. I guess in this movie, but yeah, I don't know. I think this movie's a blast. I think it's weird. Like when I think about what the movie's about, the fact that I have so much fun watching it is weird to me. But
so one thing that I didn't get that I'm going to feel dumb as soon as you guys explain it. Why did he go back and change the grade?
I'm trying to even remember the movie now. It's been so.
It's right before he gets the call about the X-ray, and the guy comes in
at the
and is
very
like,
end?
"Hint, hint, you get tenure," and he erases the F and puts a C minus.
I'm wondering, is it because that he feels like karma's a thing, and that like
He also kept the money.
things have been going shitty, and so and he does have the money at the end. Yeah. Oh, which was another favorite part of mine.
The dream?
No, when he is confronted by the dad.
Oh.
And that line, he's like, just accept the mystery. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's clever. That's a good way to say that.
To answer your question, I don't know. It felt, to me, that moment felt like just sort of the final turning point as to like things were starting to come back together for him, and then he did that, and then everything went to shit again right afterwards.
Yeah.
So that was like, it felt like that was like the one moral choice that he made in the entire movie, and he chose something immoral, presumably. I don't know. Maybe not. But that kind of goes against like
with the neighbor lady.
Yeah, but that wasn't. I don't think that was like an immoral choice in the moment, though.
Yeah, but like the setup with the parallel with King David and Bathsheba was pretty explicit.
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like
I think there's like an interesting parallel as far as like if we're talking about like power structure, like a hierarchy, and especially within a religion, and the idea that he is this teacher that holds this power, and like it can change on a whim. I don't know if there's something there, you know what I mean, that also kind of reinforces the idea. It's like it could be it doesn't matter, and so it depends on, I don't know.
Doesn't matter, so we change the grade.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good question. I honestly don't know. I would guess that there's also something to do with like, you got people who, I mean, probably guilty as charged here in my past of like, you hold on to faith because you're like, well, this one thing happened this one time. So, I paid my tithing, and I paid my bills this month. So, it must be true type of thing. And I don't know if that's kind of along that lines of, except in the opposite of like, I did something wrong and now everything's going bad again. Like Justin mentioned, like that's when things started to come back together and then he did it. I don't know if that's what it's trying to say. And once again, with the along lines of, yeah, that one thing, but nothing really fucking matters. So, because then you have his son who's trying to give him the money, which is, I guess, technically a good thing. It's for drugs, but I guess. And then the tornado comes and kills them. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Or does it? That's the kicker, I guess.
I don't know. Does it matter? Who gives a shit, Tyler? That's what I want to know.
I don't.
Who cares?
Can I just say the entire scene with the son, his bar mitzvah, is that what?
Yeah.
I want to make sure. Like I was always under the impression of bar mitzvah was a party. This doesn't seem like a party to me. I don't
think
know.
they have parties
afterwards.
Party
Okay,
after.
It's kind of like a mission luncheon. You skip the rest of this church to go eat food.
I see. Got it.
This
So
is
you got to get
boring
the
shit,
ceremony
then
out
food.
of the way first, and then you party
Yeah.
afterwards. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. Anyways, that entire scene with him high was amazing. I loved that. Him and his friend, like where it's like showing things from his perspective with like the blurred background and everything, and it just like cuts from like one person's face to another, and then you see like his friend doing the exact same thing over the that got me. I like that a lot.
I loved his friend just like swearing up a storm, trying to be a grown up, and like, oh, he's so insecure.
Give me some of that fucker.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I'm sure, and we've already mentioned this. I'm sure there's a lot also to be said about like being Jewish in America, which I think is like also this. Like this odd thing where you have two very like strong cultural identities that you live at the same time, but I don't know. And so I think there's a lot of that too, where it's like, and I think you see a lot of that conflict in him. There's like this reverence for like this mysticism and like this, I don't know, this like the past, I guess. And I think that's present in just about every religion. That reverence for the past is used as the largest hand waving away every single question or every single, obstacle. And I think that that's like very present in this movie as well, as that idea. But yeah,
I mean, there's that scene with, is it his sister that he's talking to at the park? Like the lake?
The leg braces.
She's like, we're
Yeah, I think
Jewish.
so.
We got thousands of years of history to fall back on when we don't know, essentially.
yeah.
I feel like, I mean, we already talked about it. I feel like there's so many like references we just don't understand. Like, there's got to be something with his neck. Like the draining of his neck feels very, it's always present. And maybe it's just to piss us off, just like it's pissing him off, like it's always in the way type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, but there's so many things like that. Like Arthur's, I love when it's like that's the moment in the movie where I'm like, nah, fuck it, you're not tricking me again. None of this matters. And he's when he comes back from winning all that money, and his son's like, it's the Mantaculus, Dad. It works. I'm like, no, fucking none of it fucking matters. And then he gets arrested. What does he get arrested for? Being in a brothel or something?
Oh, yeah.
The North Dakota.
Yeah. North Dakota. Oh, God.
Yeah. And when he doesn't know that and he's running back, he's like, it's just meth. You can't arrest a man for meth. And it ends up being that. It's incredible to me. And his dream sequence when he gets shot. I don't remember the first time I watched it. I remember that was a dream sequence, but I don't remember if like, did you guys think that was a real thing happening?
I kind of did.
Kind of, yeah.
And then
But
I was like, oh, this is going to devolve into murder everywhere.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't have surprised
the
me.
setup with the neighbor, though, like
Just go, brothers.
it just in that moment, like you believe that could be happening just
Yeah.
based on who the neighbor is, which is his like getting a little piece of like into the way his brain is working, and we talk about like history and stuff and like being a Jew in America, but then like he's dreaming about his next door neighbor who looks like a Nazi shooting his brother, and yeah,
There's just a sign with an arrow that says Canada on that split. Oh, man.
Didn't even phase me.
And then, like, I mean, just before that, when he's at the pool, because I mean, it's set up so well that it's like they're at the pool in the previous scene, and he's just crying. It's like this really touching scene that's like makes you feel bad for Arthur, and then that happens. Then he wakes up, he's like, "Were we at the pool last night?" Like, it's so good. It's so stressful, and like you're like, "Why is?" And I don't know. It's the good kind of manipulation that I think is in movies and art and stuff.
For sure. Man. Yeah. Any other thoughts? I'm finding I don't have a lot to say about this movie.
Honestly, at this point, watching 4 Coen Brothers movies in a row, I realized there's not a whole... I mean, there's lots of things we could talk about with each scene, but with all the core messaging being it doesn't fucking matter, it feels kind of pointless to go through.
I'm like... I know just enough about filmmaking to be able to like see things and be like, oh, that's pretty incredible, and like I can sense like the greatness behind things, but I don't know enough like technical details to be able to point at like a specific scene and like this is amazing because of what they're doing with the way the shot is set up here, and here. But like all of these Coen Brother movies that I've watched so far, it like I get that sense with every single one of them, just from a filmmaking perspective, that they really do make some incredible films. I don't know, you guys have more experience with that than I do. This one feels more, I think this one feels more, I want to say artsy with the way it's shot. Not so much like the themes or anything, but just like it looks so clean all of the time and looks very well kept, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Sure.
I think the set decoration in this movie is pretty incredible. That's something I was realizing watching this time. I'm like, just like anytime he goes to any of the rabbi's offices, even like the guy from Big Bang Theory's office, like just the stacks of books of like, and they all say something about like the character who's in there. And I think, I don't know, I was noticing that just all over the place. There's some movies you watch that are supposed to take place in the 70s that don't feel like they're fucking in the 70s. Sure. And I thought about that for a while with No Country for Old Men. I was like, this was in the 70s? Then I realized, oh, those towns still look like that. That's why it feels like now.
Yeah. Well, I think it is interesting watching, like having watched No Country for Old Men before this, because, you know, in talking about filmmaking, have we talked about the Every Frame a Painting video about the Coen Brothers?
We might have mentioned
the one where he just talks about how they use shot reverse shot, which is essentially the way that you shoot a conversation between two people. And obviously, if you've watched any of these Coen Brothers movies along with us, like there is a lot of conversation and a lot of just scenes between two people, even. I think, you know, you see that so much in No Country for Old Men. It really is just like, it feels very simple and like utilitarian in a lot of those things, you know, because you don't have to do a lot with Javier Bardem. Like, you just need to put him on camera and let that, like, just terrible shit ooze off of him into everything else. I think that in A Serious Man, one of the things I found myself noticing was, like, the blocking within the shots. Like, probably one of my favorite moments is when he goes to see that really old rabbi, and there's like the woman, like the secretary, and she's like, I'll go check. And there's just like that long moment where she goes back and you see the entire thing. Like all of that is blocked within the frame of that shot.
We never crossed that threshold.
Yeah, exactly. And it gives this, you know, sense of like this depth, but also this closeness to like the answers, but the answers are never gonna come. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think, and like that like moment to me, and there are a few other moments like that in this where it's like the blocking within the frame, I think, is really interesting and kind of points to those same things that we were talking about, while they're still using like this very simple like shot reverse shot to film these conversations, which I think is really cool. But yeah. This fucking weird movie. I will say too, like, if there's awards for if there are awards for trailers, I feel like this movie might have one of the best trailers in the world. Like I always show it to people because it's like, this trailer's fucking wild. Have you seen the trailer,
I haven't,
Justin?
no.
You should watch it. Now you watch
Okay.
the movie, you should go watch the trailer because I think it's like it is a perfect trailer that tells you exactly what this movie is. While if you haven't seen the movie, you're like, what the fuck is that movie about? Like, it's so intriguing and so good.
I think there was kind of a lot of hype for it when it was being marketed.
Yeah.
And then the reviews weren't very good when it came out. And
Was this after
Is
Burn
it
After
because
Reading?
of how it was marketed?
maybe. I don't think so.
people went into it with
it is,
wrong
like you said, it's
expectations.
marketed in a way it's not promising anything you don't get. Like,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's hard to... I think it was more just because no one... Especially, I feel like even especially at that time, no one really liked being told it doesn't matter. Like, that's not the... Like, what you think is the point of this is not the point of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one of those things that simultaneously, like, feels very deep, but at the same time in this movie, you don't really have to dig that deep to get it.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. That's my guess. I just remember people saying that they thought it was trash. And
Jeez.
So fascinating to me. I will say, it is worth noting this was after Burn After Reading, which, like, had, like, I mean, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Frances McDormand, that other guy. Fuck, I can't even remember his name all of a sudden.
J.K.
John
Simmons?
Malkovich.
John- yeah.
Jesus. Tilda Swinton. Like, I wonder how much of it was just like Burn After Reading was this huge thing, but I don't feel like the critical reception for Burn After Reading was great.
No, I feel like for the same reasons, too.
Interesting.
And I'm wondering if they were like, you guys don't fucking get it yet. Here's another movie
Yeah.
that says the exact same thing.
And then after that, they remade True Grit.
It's been so long since I've seen True Grit. Is it good? I can't even remember.
I mean, it's True Grit. It's like beautifully
Fine.
shot.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I think Gwen fell asleep watching it with me one night, so that tells you about all you need to know.
I will say, I think I've fallen asleep at least once during all of the greatest Westerns I've ever seen. I think it's just, there's something about it, you know? Like, I mean,
Is it truly a Western if you or your dad did not fall asleep?
honestly, like 3 or 4 years ago, I watched The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with my dad, and I'm pretty sure that it was like we were probably both awake less of the time than one of us was asleep. Great movie, beautiful movie.
Italian Western.
Anyways, but yeah, I mean, I think that's I think a Serious Man. I do wonder. I should have done more research to see kind of now what people think about it. I'm sure it's probably one of those things that now that it's been around and no one gives a shit about what it made at the box office, there's like more even opinions on it and stuff. But yeah, I love it. I think it's just such a fucking interesting movie. Yeah, I don't know.
I do love how Cy Abelman casts this very large shadow for the first half of the film.
Yeah.
And becomes, once again, the theme of the film becomes completely inconsequential. Like, that's so good. And just like how everyone, you don't see him for a while, you just hear his name being thrown out with like this almost fearful reverence by people.
Oh man.
And everyone's same reaction of like, Loretta's only been in the ground for 3, her corpse is still cold. It's been 3 years.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Man. Anyways, there's so many other Coen Brothers movies that we could watch and people should watch for sure. But yeah, I feel like that's a good one to kind of end our time with the Coen Brothers for now on. Any other kind of closing thoughts on them brothers?
I think after watching these 4 movies, I think 2 of them I had already seen before. I'm trying to remember. Maybe it was just No Country for Old Men that I had seen previously. I can say that I have a favorite directors now. Like,
Oh, cool.
Before this, like, I didn't feel like I could ever say one way or another that I have like a favorite director or directors in mind when people ask me like, what movies should I watch? And yeah, I would say Coen Brothers are probably my favorite now.
No.
Not probably, they are my favorite now. Their movies just feel like they just mesh with my mind, everything, the way I view the world, the way I feel about the world. Yeah, it's just it feels like me when I watch these movies. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah, I
who
don't
cares?
either.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, I'm gonna say it's a bad thing because I feel the same way. I have a very low opinion of myself. So, I think that something I was thinking about is they're pretty quiet. Like, I don't hear anything about the Coen brothers said this, or I never see YouTube videos of interviews of them being put anywhere. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you guys have seen that anywhere, but I always see it about other directors. Ridley Scott opening his dumb fucking mouth at some point.
He's fucking millennial. He's goddamn self. I poured my heart and soul into this movie.
I couldn't believe there's been like 3 quotes by Ridley Scott the past 2 months.
Yeah,
that
it's
I'm
amazing.
like, dude, you're pretty 50-50 to be talking so much shit.
I mean, to be fair, here's the thing, though. To be fair to Ridley Scott, he has released at least 2 movies that, like, then he later released director's... Oh, no, I'm going to say 3. At least 3 movies that he then later released director's cuts, and they're so much better than... So, like, there's, like, a certain level of, like, I fucking earned this. How many times do I have to prove when you give me the ball, I dunk it? Like, Kingdom of Heaven is, like, the director's cut is, like, far and away better than the theatrical cut of that movie. So I get it, but also... so old. This man is so old and so out of touch with everything but making movies. I'm sure that The Last Duel is...
Have you not seen it?
No, of course I haven't seen it.
Oh,
no one fucking saw it. That's it. I don't have the attention span for that.
You single-handedly ruined that film for him.
No, honestly, I honestly didn't even know he directed it. I just saw Ben Affleck and Matt Damon were in it, and I was like, ugh. I didn't go see it.
I don't want to get too far into it because we're talking about the Coen brothers, but like how that movie's marketed to, I'm like, you kind of you're presenting it as like a mystery, and if you're going to answer it the opposite way than I think you're going to answer it, you wouldn't do that right now. So I don't know what you want. Like, I don't know. I still want to see it at some point. It's just, it's not at the top of my list.
Yeah, no. No, yeah. It's, I mean, it came out when all of the movies from the last 2 years that people were holding on to are finally like, well, people are going back, so time to let them all out. And it's hard out there right now. It's hard out there for a movie.
Yeah.
It's not to be a movie.
But yeah, I see, him, Tarantino, always talking shit, saying something. Who's the other guy? The Martin Scorsese saying thing that's pissing people off. Never hear anything the Coen brothers, like, ever.
To be fair, Martin Scorsese just said something mean about the biggest film franchise in the world. I think they're okay. Anyways.
They're never gonna recover, man. The Eternals is like a beginning of the end, and it's all because of Martin Scorsese. Oh man.
All right. Well, as we close this chapter,
You got any closing thoughts?
Do you want to close thoughts on Coen Brothers, Gwen?
Not really.
Fitting. That's the most fitting closing words that we could send to the Coen Brothers. I think from our podcast to their ears. Not really. That's it. That's all we got. But yeah, we'll. I don't know what we're gonna watch next. We're gonna probably take a break for the holidays and then we'll do something.
Yep. Stay tuned.
But if you want to reach out to us at all, go ahead and email us at rewatchersonthepod@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram or Twitter at rewatcherspod. They have not been used for a while. I'll be honest, but who knows when we'll slip a little nugget in your inbox. All right, we're going to take a break and be back with recommendations after this wonderful music. Welcome back to the recommendation section of the podcast where we talk about stuff that we're reading, watching, playing, all that good stuff. Justin, why don't you kick us off?
All right. So to start it off, I finally watched Fight Club a couple weeks ago. Oh. Finally. It's been on my list for forever because I've been hearing about this movie since I was like 8 years old.
Which is insane because rule number one.
God damn it.
I will recommend this movie simply because it is what it is and it has an important part in our history, but I finally understand why I have heard so much about this movie, and I don't think that's a good thing because I think a lot of the reasons why I've heard about this movie is the exact opposite that the movie is actually trying to like the theme that the movie actually is trying to say.
Did the recommendation to watch Fight Club start with bro?
Yes. It's always started that way. Like every time you hear about that movie, that's how it starts.
Yeah.
It's beautiful because it also came out at like that peak time.
Yeah.
Where that was what was celebrated. Mm-hmm. And it's a movie critiquing that.
Yeah.
But people didn't.
Which is like, it sucks because that movie's such a good critique of it that the people who are being critiqued were like, this movie fucking speaks to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that good or bad? I don't know. I can't tell if it accomplished it or I don't know.
Anyways, it's a really great movie. I recommend it. And yeah, I'm glad that I watched it finally.
Unless you're a hyper-masculine dude, bro, then don't watch it.
Well, you're still going to like the movie, so go watch it.
Yeah, you probably have watched it.
Yeah. I was talking to Gwen about this after I watched it, and over the last few years, like for some reason when I was growing up, like anything that Brad Pitt was in, I automatically just thought like, oh, Brad Pitt's in it, it sucks. Because like I was young and dumb and didn't realize how fucking amazing Brad Pitt is as an actor. He's great, and everything I've watched with him in it in the last few years, I still haven't seen the newest one that he was in, Hollywood. Once Upon a, yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. But
maybe we should watch that on the podcast.
I love me some Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay.
Anyways.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Okay. But yeah, Brad Pitt is fantastic. And the fact that he is the choice for his character in this movie and the themes of the movie and what it has to say and everything, it's really great. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Fight Club is fantastic. And then I watched the Korean movie, the Korean Netflix thing that everybody was losing their minds about. Squid Games sucks. I don't recommend Squid Games. It's fine if you want to have something stupid to watch, but like the fact that it's getting so much attention and like everybody, like I've heard people talking about how it's like one of the greatest TV shows ever made. Like this is mind blowing to me because it was kind of bad. It was not good. It wasn't fun. There's been stuff exactly like that before. So, yeah. Squid Games was not very fun. Yeah. And then, let's see. What else have I watched? I did watch The Wailing, which I texted you about. And have you seen The Wailing yet? You need to watch The Wailing because this movie is really, really good. Gwen and I are going to watch it together because I've convinced her to watch it with me.
I think we should all just have a triple date and watch it all together.
That sounds good. That'd be fun. The Wailing is really great. I'm going to recommend that. I don't really want to say too much about it because, like, other than just like the main premise of
that's right. You talked about this one already, right?
Yeah,
it's
kind of a rural South Korean village that there's a Japanese man that moves in and shit starts happening. Everybody's blaming it on him, and things get really wild when the police man's who's investigating all this crazy stuff, his daughter kind of gets involved. So I'll just leave it at that. But the way things end in this movie are really, really cool. So definitely recommend that. Another Korean movie that Gwen and I both watched is Parasite. We finally watched Parasite, and that's in the recommendation list for sure. I loved this movie so much.
It was so different than I expected.
Yeah.
It was completely turned on its head from what I expected.
Did you guys see the marketing at all for it?
Not really. I just knew it was about class tension, and so I figured it was rich people shitting on poor people. And that's
I-
not what it
And
was.
like
I thought it was like a monster movie kind of.
yeah, I thought it was gonna be like a surrealistic, like really surrealistic, out there, almost sci-fi-ish, like cosmic horror, almost from just like the posters I saw. Yeah, yeah.
The moment when the tone shifts in that movie, I think is like,
when she does
Yeah. God, just like, it's so fucking masterful. It's so good. Because I love the first part of that movie. I'm like, this is fucking great. It's like a heist movie. And it's like, it's awesome. I'm going to be so satisfied. And then it's like, fuck you, man. This shit's real life. Got people living in basements.
You guys watched Mother yet?
No.
We watched Mother for the
Yeah, we watched Mother on
Oh,
the podcast.
We did.
Yeah.
I have, that was my reaction. I was like, no, I haven't seen Mother, so
We watched.
Gwen wasn't
Mother?
there, but I'm
I
pretty sure
wasn't there.
Mitchell watched it. We watched it with Mitchell.
Wait, you're talking about the Bong Joon-ho Mother, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we did watch. We watched
Oh, I still haven't seen the other Mother.
yeah, the other mother, the director of the other mother, Darren Aronofsky.
Anyway, sorry.
No, yeah. So, Parasite's great. I'm so glad that movie was made because it's really good, and I have been just like craving Korean food ever since watching that movie too. So I've had noodles. I don't know how many times since we watched that movie.
Well, I bought the 2 noodles for the Ramadan, and we've been eating that.
Yeah.
I haven't had it with the steak yet, but
Yeah, here's another recommendation. The spiciest noodles I've ever had in my life, but they're so good that you can't stop eating them. So I don't know what they're called because it's in Korean, but they're really
got a
good.
red package
Where are
with
you
chicken
getting
on
them?
fire.
Walmart shipped them to us. They're like imported from somewhere. They've got English
Are they
like
frozen or are they
no,
dried?
it's just like a ramen,
ramen.
like top
Oh,
ramen kind of
gotcha.
thing, but way better.
We'll give you guys one after the podcast.
Sweet.
My nose was running, my lips were burning, but it was so good.
Email us and we'll send you a packet of Korean ramen.
Let's see. What else is there recommendation wise? What else have I watched? I know there are other things that came up.
You watched that Western one.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I watched, maybe you guys have watched this recently as well, but Power of the Dog, the Benedict Cumberbatch Western movie that's on Netflix. That's a really good movie. It's definitely not what I was expecting by any means, which that's basically every movie ever for me. So I'm terrible at reading movies before I go into them, apparently. But Benedict Cumberbatch, there's all this hype that I was seeing about it. Like, oh, Benedict Cumberbatch is incredible in this movie. And like, yeah, he's pretty good. I don't think it's like as fantastic as I've seen some people talking about it. Like, I think I read something from the Times that was saying like this movie is one of the best of the year. I don't know about that, but it is really good. It plays with your expectations in a way that is really fun. It plays with like traditional power dynamics in a way that's really fun. The setting is really cool. It takes place in Montana in like the 1920s, I think. Yeah, that is a good movie. So check that out if you haven't seen that. And then as far as just some quick video game recommendations, I have finally started playing The Witcher 3, finally. And I'm about, I don't know, like 7-8 hours into it. I finished up, like I did all of the quests in the opening like tutorial area that you start out in. And I've just barely like started getting going in like the real world once you get out of there. So I feel like I'm finally getting to play the game the way that it's supposed to be played. So it's a lot of fun. I'm having a good time. The controls are a little wonky sometimes, like trying to roach around can be kind of frustrating at times, and the combat feels a little weird, but like the setting and like the just cool monsters and everything, and like the stupid quests that you get to do, like I went and got some old lady's frying pan back for her and like just fun shit like that. I'm having a good time with it. So I'm excited to spend the next 150 hours playing that game. So
Dude, I
Yeah.
forget how long it is. I actually started trying to replay it the past week too, and I tried to like really heavily mod it this time, and it's fucking hard to mod and get anything to work because I had to just scrap everything. I have like 3 mods out of the 16 that I had downloaded because nothing's working together. But yeah,
What sort of stuff do you mod on The Witcher?
mostly graphics. Like the big one I was trying to get to work was the 3 I was trying to get to work was lighting, change in lighting, change in like grass foliage and stuff. And what was the other one? There was the HD textures, because some of the textures when you get close to them are really bad. And that was the one that was breaking things completely. Like that sucks. It's like I feel like I'm playing, like I was like, it's gonna be fresh this time, but it didn't really go as well as I'd hoped.
I haven't won a game of Gwent yet. Apparently, I suck at that as well,
Dude,
So
I forget how stupid Gwent is in this game.
yeah,
there's like that. So early on in the game, I'm trying to remember. You go to like, there's like you go before some royals. I'm trying to remember, but there's like a Gwent guy. It's like an area you don't go back to for a while. But
Yes.
There's like one guy, and I was like, this motherfucker has a card, and I fucking want it, and I'm gonna fucking play this guy until I get it. It took me fucking forever.
Yeah,
to beat
you have
that
to come
dude.
back usually. Like,
Yeah.
that's a tough one.
Yeah, I spent way too much time in the opening of that game getting that Gwent card. But yeah, that shit's good. Gwent is fucking good.
Oh man, yeah.
Hi-
I
yeah.
think the side quests. I mean, everyone talks about it. The side quests in the game are the best part about it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the main quest, the writing's really bloated and it's overly long, and it makes it really hard to replay a second time because like, shit, I have to do a play again, which is fun the first time. The second or third time, you have to do that stupid play
Yeah.
or break this character out of prison. Like, it's just so long and bloated. But yeah. But then you get to some of the side quests, you're like, this is really good.
Honestly, there's part of me that has dreamed that a Witcher game will be set up like the Hitman games at some point, where it's
That
like
actually
they can just
wouldn't be bad.
add like content and like side content to it indefinitely. Because I would fucking go back and play like, you know, every 6 months if they updated. There's like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of new people with new problems in this area. I'd fucking go back and do that shit because it's like that's the best part of that game for me for sure. Yeah, it's good.
yeah. The version that I have also came with like the expansions that were released too. So
Very fucking good.
Oh my
really,
god.
yeah.
Here's
So
the thing.
good.
I was like, when I finished the main game, I was like, holy shit, those are so good. And then I played the expansion. I was like, these are way better. They're so fucking good. Like,
Because it's probably going to be 100 hours before you get to one of them. Well, you can start that one at a certain point.
Yeah.
I would recommend.
Yeah.
the Hearts of Stone one, you mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think of when to recommend that one. You probably late game. I don't know, but it's going to be a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I had totally forgotten this character. There's just so you remember it. It's not to spoil anything, but like the guy you talk to at the very beginning in the tavern, who actually gives you the clues of where to go.
okay.
Just remember, he seems like
Got
a
it.
throwaway character.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, I sell mirrors, and they call and like yeah, he's.
Cool.
That's all I'm gonna say. It's
Yeah.
fucking dope.
That's a good game.
Yeah. Other thing that I want to recommend, just real quick. I don't think we've talked since Minecraft released their Caves and Cliffs update part 2. It's really cool. It changes a lot of the way that the terrain is generated in Minecraft, and we've been playing on a new map that we created right after that update came out as a family. So Gwen and I, and then our 2 kids, we all play together, and we put like 10 hours into this world, and it's a really good time. It's really cool. It feels really fresh. They they completely overhauled the way that caves work in the game and introduced like cave specific biomes as well. So mining in Minecraft feels completely different now. It's not the same thing anymore, and like I don't even know really how to describe it. It's so much more interesting and difficult too. At least that's what our experience has been with the world that we've generated. Maybe there are other, like, if you just maybe we just got lucky with our world. I don't know,
We
but
all keep dying too.
Yeah.
Which is unusual
yeah.
and frustrating but fun.
Yeah. So check that out. It's really, really cool. And then I just wanted to talk about Halo for a little bit because I've been playing a bit of Halo. I played quite a bit of the multiplayer when it was released early. And that is a really cool game, but also really fucking stupid as well in a lot of different ways. The Battle Pass system in Halo Infinite multiplayer is probably the worst Battle Pass system I have ever seen in any multiplayer, any free-to-play game that I've ever played or that I'm aware of. It's absolutely trash, and they've like kind of made some fixes for it. When it first released, there were like the only way to progress was to earn experience points, and the only way to get experience points was to complete objectives in the game that you were playing. And these objectives were fucking hard too. It was like shoot down 3 pelicans in order to get 200 experience points for your battle pass, and like the pelican spawns randomly on one specific map in one specific game mode that you can't even select to play, because you just load up big team battle and it's a playlist that just cycles through game modes with the different maps that are available. So like the chances of you being able to do the objectives that you want to do or need to do in order to progress in the battle pass were very low. And they've since added in like daily experience boosts or maximums, I guess. Like you gain experience just by playing the game now, but there are still map specific, game mode specific objectives that you have to complete in order to progress the battle pass.
That's some stupid bullshit, because like there's stuff like you have to kill a flag carrier. So if you're that's the thing that baffled me the most when I first started playing was, okay, I got in the menu, I'm like, how do I play Slayer? Like, you can't.
Yeah.
You literally have 2 options. Good luck. Like, and it's just going to throw you into random shit, which I just found baffling. I mean, the first little bit when I played wasn't a big problem because everyone was also playing new. They weren't really. But then, like, before I took a break, people were just dropping out because it wasn't the mode to get the challenges. And I'm like, this is so. You're owned by Microsoft. How does this happen? Like, how do you plan a game so poorly?
Yeah, I did just see yesterday that apparently before the end of this year, they're going to be releasing Slayer-specific playlists. I guess like Fiesta's coming, SWAT's coming, some other game mode is coming, where you'll actually be able to queue up for that specific game mode, which thank God, because this game needs it. Like, I can't believe that a Halo game has launched without Slayer as like a selectable play. Like, you can't just jump in and play Slayer. It blows my mind that 343 got away with this. But like at the same time, like that's great. Like the experience of playing Halo is a lot of fun. Like it scratches that nostalgia itch like crazy. Like it feels like a Halo game, which is really cool. And there's the possibility of just crazy shit happening in Halo games. So like it's so much fun, but then it's like there's so much tainted by the constant push for monetization that is in the game as well. Like if you're interested in cosmetics in your free to play games at all, like, and I get like it's free to play, so just play it for the hell of it or whatever. But like when everything is pushed, like you're seeing skins in the store constantly, and then like you progress through the battle pass and you unlock 1 shoulder piece armor, and then like 10 levels later you get the other shoulder piece armor, and that's for one specific armor class. And then like you unlock the color red for one armor class, and then you get a different color red like that looks the exact same later on. Like the filler that exists in their battle pass and monetization is just like it's egregious and like really, really disrespectful to you as a player for your time. Yeah. So like it's a lot of fun to play Halo with a group of people. Like I've played with my brothers and my cousin a bunch, and like Tyler and I played a bit as well, and like I had a blast playing it. But man, there's just some bullshit in this game that it's like the worst of current gaming trends mixed with like this nostalgia of like all the fun you had playing Halo before, which is just a wonky mess and like doesn't make any sense in my mind. But
I think the shooting's the best it's ever been, in my opinion. I think it's the most, as far as combat goes, it's so fun. It's just when like I'm one of those people that's like I wasn't going to buy the battle pass anyway.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's now getting in the way of me playing, like because of how it's affecting other people's behavior, it's like I think that's trash. I don't know.
Yeah,
have you played single player at all?
I have, and I was gonna mention that because the single player is a lot of fun too. But like I feel like it also kind of suffers from like not really knowing exactly what it is either. Cause like the whole idea for this is we're going to take Halo and we're going to make it open world. And to me, like I heard that was happening. I was like, okay, cool, I guess. Like everything else is open world. So I guess it makes sense that Halo is going to be open world too. And I've only put like maybe 4 hours into the campaign so far. And it's a lot of fun to swing around like Spider-Man as Master Chief with a grappling hook that has a really short cooldown and just like run around and punch grunts in the back of the head. Like that stuff that was so much fun playing Halo when I was a kid is still a lot of fun. But it's in an open world where like you don't get the curated setting of like just a corridor shooter like Halo has always been. So like the story aspect to me is a little bit lost. Like I don't know what the hell is going on in Halo anymore. I know that Cortana is gone, I think, and we've got something else called the Weapon. I don't remember what happened in Halo 5 because nobody does. I don't know. Anyways, it's fun, but it just doesn't know what it is.
I was like reading an article and they mentioned Halo Wars 2 and I'm like, I'm not doing this. That's not why I'm here.
Yeah, I think I had to watch. I played Halo 5 once and I couldn't remember anything other than it sucked.
Yeah.
Like not even just the story, the pacing of the levels I remember being just terrible. Whereas I'm one of those weirdos that thinks 4 is one of the best Halos. And the campaign itself is incredibly well paced. And the shooting feels really good, and the story. I never think the actual writing in Halo has never been its strong suit in my opinion. But 4 was like, I mean, it's not saying a lot, but 4 I felt like was the best writing in the story at that point. Not that it was perfect or anything. But yeah, so 5 was so bad I had to go back and watch like a video of like how it all ended, and yeah, I think you like need to know, which I thought they weren't going to do. I thought they were kind of doing a soft reboot to. Story-wise too, but not just gameplay. I really like I think there's some lost potential there. I really like the forward operating bases in this and how that works and how you can like the more missions you complete. It doesn't make any sense like lore-wise, but it's like you earn points and you can have this guy drop off. He's got an unlimited supply of warthogs apparently that he can just drop down for you.
Yeah, if you like listening to Octane's voice from Apex Legends yelling at you constantly, then you'll like this game.
Man, I love just getting Marines and seeing like what I can make them do. And they don't have fall damage. I can tell you that right now. And, I like had 7 or 8 of them following me. And I just jumped off this huge cliff and I turned around, they're just boom, all just coming down like lemmings. It was great. Lots of fun to be had there. I think that the fact that there's no co-op right now is a real bummer because it seems like it would be a hell of a lot of fun in this like campaign.
Okay, here's another thing. So I'm not the biggest Halo fan. I don't have the nostalgia for the multiplayer. I played about 15 minutes. I was like, yeah, this feels like I'm a piece of shit. So I just am not interested. But I like playing through the campaigns, and like that's like I remember like a few Christmases ago, like me and my sister being the only one at my parents' home for Christmas, and we played through Halo 1 and 2 in one night, and it was like it was a blast. And honestly, like Billy Emphasis was like, I should do that again. Like I should play those with Melissa because she's playing games and like it'd be fun. My only way to play that is on PC. And guess what? There's no fucking local co-op on PC for the Master Chief Collection.
Oh, for the Master Chief Collection?
Yeah, which is fucking insane. And, well, at least I think it's fucking insane. I'm sure there's a perfectly good reason. But, like...
It's probably their UI.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, apparently the client with no games downloaded is 50 gigs. And then everything else is another 20 on top of that. It's fucking shit. Anyways, but yeah, I'm not very far into. I've played I assume I'm like about to go to the open world in Infinite. I just fought a guy with a health bar over his head, which felt a little strange for Halo. But yeah, it was fun. I like it so far. I like the weapons. I like hearing Master Chief's caramely voice in my ears again. So
plans change.
That was pretty good.
Anyways, yeah. That's my experience with Halo.
Amen. That's base. I think that's it. I feel like I'm forgetting something else that I watched recently, but if I remember it and I feel like it's a strong recommendation, then I'll bring it up. But
Okay.
yeah, I think that's it for me.
Okay. Cool. I'll go ahead and go real quick. I have a very timely and good video game suggestion. I just recently played through a point-and-click adventure called Kathy Rain, A Detective is Born. I think it was originally released in 2011.
You're the most prolific click and play
Here's the
player that I've ever encountered.
Well, now that I have a PC, like I have a good setup, and like I played a lot of those growing up because I had a PC. Like I didn't have an Xbox. I didn't get into Halo when it came out. Like we got a PS2 a few years after Halo came out, and so I was playing that. So like, but like I grew up playing like King's Quest and Monkey Island and Quest for Glory, all that shit, and so. Right now, I feel like we're in there's like some really good point-and-click adventure games coming out, and Kathy Rain is great. It's like 5 to 6 hours. The writing is like great, like 90s, and it also feels heavily inspired by Twin Peaks. So obviously, I'm like way into it. But we played through it, and it was just a blast. It was a lot of fun. Like some really light puzzle solving, none of the like bullshit of like, okay, now that I have 10 items, I have to go and hover them over each item in my inventory just to see if I can combine this pencil with this photograph and like use it as an umbrella. Like none of that shit, which, God bless Grim Fandango. I love that game, but there's a lot of that bullshit in that game. Anyways, Kathy Rain is great. They just released a new, a director's cut. I don't know exactly what's changed, but I think it's mainly like modern UI stuff that makes it easier to play. My next two recommendations, I have two movies to recommend. Probably two of my top 3 favorite movies I've seen this year. The other one I'm going to mention again because it is now on Hulu is Pig with Nicolas Cage. Probably still my favorite movie this year. It is on Hulu. If you've not watched Pig, watch Pig. It would definitely benefit from being able to sit down and watch it in one setting just because it's like, fucking watch Pig. The other ones I want to mention are a movie directed by Mike Mills called Come On, Come On with Joaquin Phoenix in it, which is basically about him taking care of his nephew for a while his sister is going through some stuff. And it is fucking beautiful. It's just an immaculate movie. Joaquin Phoenix is really great. It's Come On, Come On was one of those movies where it reminded me in a really visceral way how scary it is to be a kid, which I hadn't felt in a long time. And not having any kids of my own, you know what I mean? It's something that I feel very far removed from. But this movie is amazing. It's really great. Definitely go see Come On, Come On if you get a chance. The other one I'm going to recommend, I just saw this week. I just saw West Side Story, which fucking blew me away and is really good. I really
the Spielberg one.
Yeah, the Spielberg one. I really love the old West Side Story. Like, it's one of the few movie musicals that I really have returned to and
That
really
is
liked.
surprising. I would have guessed you would have been very cynical about this movie.
Well, I mean, I was when I heard they were remaking it, I was not excited about it. I wasn't particularly excited about Ansel Elgort being cast as Tony.
Anything?
Yeah, I mean, but something about this last trailer that they released, I got super excited about it. And then I started reading more about it. This movie has a new script. So the script is different from the old movie. It is rewritten by Tony Kushner, who's an incredible playwright. He wrote Angels in America. I don't know but it's really fucking good. And they've made there's quite a few changes to it, not musically, but who sings certain songs is different. The order of songs is different, pretty jarringly in one spot. And aside from Ansel Elgort, I did not recognize almost anyone in the cast other than Rita Moreno, who was Anita in the original and has come back to play this new role. But man, it's one of those movies you go and you're like, oh, Steven Spielberg can make a movie. He's pretty good at it. And I don't think he'd ever directed a musical before. But it's just fantastic. I think that the depth this movie gives to the, I don't know, I guess I'd say like the six main characters, Tony and Maria and Anita and Bernardo and Riff, like the depth that it gives to them and the changes that it makes from the original I'm absolutely in love with. And I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since I went. So I like, honestly, I'm probably going to go see it at least one more time in theaters because it's just fantastic. So yeah, go see West Side Story. I really, really loved it. Trying to think. I think that's the main things that I have to recommend. So yeah, Gwen, what did you have for us?
A few weeks ago, I read on Truman's recommendation, Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. And the premise is that aliens come and take over the planet, but they're very peaceful overlords, and they like fix poverty, they fix war, and it's their goal to like help us to the next stage of our existence. It like gave me the same sort of melancholy that the Three Body Problem and its follow-ups did, even though the ending is very different and humanity went in a very different direction. But it was melancholy, and that's like all that's the only word I've been able to come up with for this book. And the way that the aliens behaved and the way that people behaved in response to them. It's pretty short. I think the audiobook was like 7 hours, so really short book, but you guys should read it. It's great. Yeah.
Interesting.
What was that?
Oh, no, interesting. I've heard of that before, but I don't think I had any idea what it was about.
Yeah. Really good. Classic sci-fi. But then I also read a series called The Book of the Ancestor by Mark Lawrence. Starts with Red Sister, and then it goes Gray Sister, and then Holy Sister. And the opening scene is this little girl who's going to hang for murder. And a nun comes and rescues her, and they run away to the abbey together. And so she lives at this convent and learns to be a nun, but it's like magical nuns. But they're also not Catholic. They're on this
Magic
planet.
I was thinking this was one type of book, and now I'm like, this is a very different type of book.
There's like 1.5, 2.5 magic systems, but so
What?
yeah,
One and a half?
right. It's soft. It's soft world. No, it's soft. It's a soft magic system, but it's also like got
porn.
yes, it's hardcore porn.
That's the name of my memoir, Softcore Magic System, but hardcore porn.
Soft magic, hard porn.
I think this book might actually be YA now that I think about it. But so they're on this planet that has a dying sun, and there's ice encroaching from both the poles, and there's only a strip of livable land like right in the middle. And the moon is an artificial satellite that focuses the light from the dying sun and keeps the ice back, but it's failing. The moon is falling, and so the ice encroaches more and more every year, and that's where you get all the political pressure from and people fighting over land and resources. But yeah, it's really, I enjoyed it so much. It felt like a child of Harry Potter in a lot of ways. Like the Abbess has some really dark Dumbledore-ish qualities, but she's like a way more interesting character. I think my only gripe about the series is that not enough went wrong with the Abbess's plans. Like I wanted more things to go wrong for her, but the main character is not the chosen one. You don't get a viewpoint from the chosen one. You get to interact with her and everything. But that was really interesting to not have her as a viewpoint character. And she ends up in a really weird place, and it's great. But yeah, there's, and the nuns, like, they're not the only place to learn magic. You can go to this academy, and there's like a children's ring fighting circle that's there too. And so you get these tensions between these different places to learn combat and magic. And then there's the outside wars putting pressure on their lives. And yeah, it was really great. Nona is the main character, and she was fun.
What's that series called one more time?
Book of the Ancestor.
Book of the Ancestor. Okay.
Yeah, definitely recommend that one. So a few months ago, I tried watching The Witcher, and I finished the first episode and was like, So, yeah.
That's probably the best episode.
Really? Damn it.
I mean,
I don't think that's true.
Well, Justin said he liked it, so I was like...
I did enjoy the series, this first season.
what are you saying? What is the best episode?
I liked the third episode more
I don't
than
remember honestly which one's which.
When they finally are like explicit about the, in my opinion, stupid timeline thing they do in this season of the show.
Yeah, I think it's also a stupid thing that they do.
Anyways.
Is it that they're flashing back on Yennefer's story? That was my guess.
I mean, that's part of it, but it's even more convoluted.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's 3 timelines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's not an important reveal at all.
No.
I went into this hoping for...
But it is one that makes you go, oh, okay, now I know why none of these things are connecting in any meaningful ways still.
Yeah,
okay.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
But, I went in hoping for, this high fantasy, deep world building, I wanted Game of Thrones or something. And, I knew it wasn't going to be Game of Thrones. But, the world building kind of sucks. And the costuming really bothers me because it's all very clean and it looks like it's from a Renaissance fair. And, I don't know. And Yennefer's wig when she's all ugly is just, clearly a bad wig that they messed up a little bit, but they couldn't, get it dirty or anything. So, yeah, it really...
A lot of the show just, has... Which is too many shows right now for me. And anytime they do fantasy especially, it's very CW. Everything is overly polished. Everyone's hair is very modern and clean. And that drives me fucking insane. I tried watching The Wheel of Time.
Oh, really?
I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit.
I'm not a Wheel of Time fan, but that set me off.
Yeah.
I was like, the main guy is everything wrong with these types of shows.
It's fucking bad.
Anyway, sorry.
I haven't tried Wheel of Time yet, but yeah, So I watched another half last week because I played 20 minutes of The Witcher, the one Justin's playing. I was like, this is fun. And then I went back to playing Skyrim. So yeah, I tried The Witcher, the show. And I might actually go back to it because I just finished the first book in the series. And it's way better.
Short stories, yeah.
Yeah, it's still not like the deep world building high fantasy that I was looking for. But it's really fun. It feels very classic 90s fantasy, if that makes sense. And I thought it was going to be Monster of the Week. And it is a little bit, but each of the stories ends in a different way or a way that I don't expect. Oh, okay, I see how this is going to go. And then it doesn't go there. And I'm happy to be wrong every time. So yeah, I'm really having a good time.
I'm glad you're reading the books.
Yeah.
Because I've read the books. I don't do a lot of reading. So I'm not a good source for that. But
the reason you don't is because we don't allow you to, because that would be too many readers on the podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't want to break the secret.
It's in its contract.
But no, I never played the first game. My first introduction was the second game, and I was very hesitant about it, but then I loved it. The third game got delayed so many times. Then I read the books because it was delayed so many times. And so the first 2 are short stories. Then the third one starts an actual.
Yeah. I liked the short story format.
And I loved all of them. I was very surprised. I was not expecting a lot. And I really liked the books. It's been a while since I read them, so maybe I wouldn't like them as much now. I don't know. But yeah, I'm a big fan. It is an author from the 90s from Poland. So
Yeah, I
there are
mean-
some things in there that are maybe a little like, but
Yeah, that one innkeeper's like, women don't have a say in my house. I was like, fuck you, dude.
yeah. So like, I mean, there's definitely some things like Game of Thrones that are like, it's more of a commentary on how fucked up the world is than it is people. But there are some things that are like, no, this is like an author weird, gross thing.
Yeah, when I saw the first one was published in 1990 or whatever, I was like, okay.
Yeah. So there are those things. But yeah, I don't know. Did you ever finish them?
The books?
Yeah.
No, I think I finished the short story ones, but I haven't started the other ones. I've been meaning to, but
Yeah. There's
I also can't read.
I really like them, and like I think that I'm glad you're finally playing the game because like
Yeah.
I mean the game definitely gets overhyped and everyone loves to talk about it, but I think that there's something missing in a lot of modern fantasy that universe brings to the table. I don't think it's necessarily like you said, like the deep lore and magic systems that there are. It's more it more feels like someone read Lord of the Rings and was like, I really like this version of fantasy. I want to kind of tell more stories in this style, but with kind of going in a darker direction, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I like Brothers Grimm too.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
feels
that
very,
I
like more
felt-
fairy tale
yeah.
for sure than
Yeah, like a lot of the short stories are just retellings of it,
fucked up,
but
yeah.
really fucked
kind
up. Yeah.
of. I feel like they reference the stories. Like the one that's really been most explicit was the one with the beast guy and the vampire, which was the second one. But like every other one goes in such a different direction that I feel like, yeah. I don't know.
I think you'll just get that reference of like, yeah, that lady was kidnapped by 7 weird dudes.
Yeah.
Did disgusting things to her. Oh
She's
my
like,
god.
I ate a poisoned apple at one point. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I guess we're doing Snow White.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, I do want to talk about Wheel of Time real quick.
Yeah.
Because I haven't read all of Wheel of Time. When Brandon Sanderson started finishing Wheel of Time is when I was like, oh shit, I might actually go back and finish Wheel of Time now because I got to like book 9 of Wheel of Time and I was like, where the fuck is this going?
That's like that's the slog, right? Is like 8, 9,
I think
and,
That's
I
the
think,
slog.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good lord.
Yeah, I think supposedly like 11 it starts to pick up again.
my
I don't know. But anyways, but I really love like the first like 5 books in Wheel of Time. I mean, here's the thing. It's not like groundbreaking. It's very much like Robert Jordan's like, I want to write like a Tolkien fantasy.
Yeah.
And he did. And it's fun and it's good. That show fucking sucks. First of all, I knew within like by the end of that first episode, I was like, no. And it's not because it looks cheap, which it fucking does.
Doesn't it have like $1 billion budget too? Or was that?
I think that's Lord of the Rings.
I mean,
Yeah.
there is
I
a
think Lord of the
very
Rings is huge.
distinction between the quality of the sets and the quality of everything else.
Yeah. Oh,
the
yeah,
sets look amazing, I
Yeah.
feel like, but everything else looks like shit.
No, but the main gripe I have with the Wheel of Time show is the books. The Wheel of Time mythos is actually fairly like progressive. When you look at when that was written, you're like, holy shit, this is actually like Robert Jordan actually wrote a world of like diverse and respected cultures, and like also like wrote female characters that are like really interesting. Like those are some of the first female characters I remember reading and like relating to, you know what I mean, because they were real people. And this fucking show in the first episode invents a character that's married to one of the main characters that then is like, apparently they felt so strongly they needed to show that this guy had like this deep like temper inside of him that he accidentally kills his wife, who's an invented character who you see on screen one time before that. It's like
Does
the
she
most
even have a line of
egregious-
dialogue?
I think one line, and she's like kind of a bitch
Yeah.
too. Like you're
Yeah.
like, I don't like this person, and then you're like, she's dead, and you're like, I feel nothing except for anger that you're using this shitty trope in 2021 in a fantasy series that like should be, I don't know. Anyways, it's a bad show. I'm mad.
I was watching it the whole time. I'm like, I've sworn off ever trying to read Wheel of Time because I just can't get through any books right now, and I know that that's the longest series ever fucking written. And while I was reading, I was like, oh, maybe like I can see underneath a lot of the layers here. Like there's something like fun. There's something that could be a lot of fun. And I honestly, until the end, I was like, I might watch this show. I have a lot of problems with what's going on, but maybe there's, something good could happen. And then the ending of the first episode happens very fast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I don't. You screwed up such an important part of just like the story structure and hero's journey of what is the things I was liking about the undertones of the show, that like that's such a pivotal moment that you just really fucking rushed, and shows that you don't really care. You're just trying to get to the second act, I guess. Yeah. And like, I don't know.
Which is a bummer because I actually like the casting of Moraine. I think, what's her face? Gone Girl. Why can't I remember her name? That actress's name.
She was like the one I was considering watching the show for. Like, I wanted to see her be Moraine.
And I think she's good casting for that. I think there's interesting stuff there, but fuck that shit.
I just I got through a book and a half of Wheel of Time, and I just I want to love it because so many people love it, but I just cannot. Yeah. Makes me feel like a bad fantasy fan.
No. It's.
I mean, do you want to be a good fantasy fan?
I will say, I was excited to see The Expanse's final book finally came out, and I'm going to start reading those books again.
Dude, I'm halfway through the 8th one.
It's done now?
I've got book 9
This is the final one? Okay, I will start reading this series now.
Yeah, because I was just, because I started reading those, I think a little while after you recommended them to me, and I was like...
I couldn't shut up about them when I started.
Yeah. And I think I got
because the first few are incredible.
Yeah.
I think I got halfway through the third one, and I was like, holy shit, how long can I ride this high? And I was just looking up stuff, and I was like... No. I just saw George R. Martin's name and I was like, no! 9? Not they're gonna do 9?
Plus
and how
stories.
many out now? Yeah.
They've been pretty good about releasing them.
Yeah, they've been
though.
consistent.
Yeah, so I was excited to see that finally came out though, because
maybe they're the reason George got any books done, because they're his assistants.
Yeah,
and so
maybe now that they're done,
George, let's finish this up for you.
Anyways,
did I see a headline that Patrick Rothfuss had written some of book 3 of whatever that series is?
King Killer?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's newsworthy that he started writing it.
Yeah.
What the hell? There's some really messed up stuff in the fantasy.
Yeah.
Man, Brandon Sanderson is he's the only guy doing stuff really that is mainstream.
That dude's like the Hayao Miyazaki of book writing.
Yeah.
Let's hope his family life is better.
Yeah, probably.
I saw him on a street corner in Provo with his son. I was like, that's Brandon Sanderson. And then I just drove past.
As you should do when you see famous people.
I'm a fucking nerd. Well, I was on the phone with my mom. I was like, hey.
All right. Any other recommendations?
Nah,
Sorry, we
it.
totally hijacked your to
That's
talk
what
about the state of
recommendations
fantasy.
Fuck Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
No, I think that was it.
Okay. Great. Tyler, what'd you have for us?
I saw The French Dispatch. I really liked it. I mean, I do have to say I am personally biased against. I don't love episodic short story stuff a lot, but I had a good time with all of these. I think the final one is. I wish that they would have made a whole movie of that.
I would watch 3 fucking hours of that.
Yeah, I was like, this feels like the movie you should have. I mean, I liked the other two.
Yeah.
This is the movie you should have made though. And because it has the most potential. The others had to be short stories, I feel like. Whereas this one had the most potential to be a full-length movie. And, man, I think you had mentioned it before. This feels like... I think Grand Budapest is his magnum opus. I think this, though, is him reaching his highest peak of visual... his visual style, his unique visual style and how he executes and how it's presented to the audience.
Yeah.
For some reason, this one sticks in my mind, even though it's not that impressive. But it's there's a gunfight, and these people are being shot. These live action actors, but there's stop motion boards flying off the side when they're getting shot, and just stuff like that's a lot of fun. I love that, man.
Also, the freeze framed pans across these Renaissance murals of just chaos that are happening, where he utilizes cotton for like fire extinguishers, like the stuff that you see in his stop motion movies and stuff. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
that
I
sounds
think
really cool.
I think a better way to probably say it is this movie shows like all the stops are out for him as a director. I think a big criticism of him, which I actually agree on for some of his earlier films, is he's a lot more style than substance. Whereas I think that argument is no longer valid. I think since the past 3 movies he's made, 3 live action movies he's made, I'd say, so like Moonrise Kingdom was like the first one that I felt was like all the fat was cut. This is it. He's arrived, type of thing. But then Grand Budapest happened. I was like, holy shit, this movie's awesome. But then French Dispatch is great.
Well, and I will say the fact that in the French Dispatch, in that last story, well, first of all, there's like an appendix to that story, like after it is ended, and then you have that scene with Bill Murray, and he's like, "That's the best part," and they go back, which is like really wrecked me. Is like a really great moment, but before that, the emotional like resolution to that entire thing is done in an animated segment, like that moment where father and son are reunited and hug is animated, and it still carries all this weight. I know, it's fucking weird. That the fucking wrestler just jumping out of that car. Anyways, god damn it. I love that movie. I will say, I think for me, I really loved the Adrian Brody story. I think that like whole thing.
You the artist one?
Yeah. Mostly for Tilda Swinton's little asides. Like,
oh Lord, that's me.
She's like, excuse me, I need to get a drink. And she just dips down, like takes a shot of whiskey. Like all that stuff is really great. I think the Timothée Chalamet, Frances McDormand one was kind of like, it's kind of blah for me. But anyways, I like that movie a lot.
Yeah. Then I also I'm going to mention this briefly because I've mentioned it before, but all of Arcane's episodes are out now. If you haven't watched it, have you watched it yet?
I've watched the first 3.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Why do I give a shit?
Exactly.
Why is it good?
And I think, I mean, I've said it before, the production on this is fucking phenomenal.
The animation
everything
alone is like insane. Like it's
the
just so
art direction,
crazy,
the animation, the editing is very, very good. The shot blocking, even though it's obviously drawn, so I can't really say that cinematography, but like all of that is so good and it's worth watching it alone just for those things. Yeah. It feels good. You're right at a big story point where, things change significantly. Mm-hmm. Like I don't want to hype it up more because people are just sucking this thing off online. It's not like the best thing since sliced bread, but it's good and it's a lot of fun.
And it feels fresh. Like it doesn't feel like it's trying to be the other 5 hottest things that are going right now. It's just like it's just good. I feel like it knows what it is.
And it's steampunk, which we don't get a lot of steampunk stuff, and that's fun.
Is it going to get me to install League on my computer?
Fuck no.
Really?
No.
Okay, then I'm going to watch it. That's the perfect answer.
I have a 21-year-old roommate, so I've dabbled in League. And let me tell you, nothing will get me to ever go back.
Oh man, I mean, they say that Scared Straight program doesn't really work for drugs. It really has worked wonders for me on League. I've heard so many bad horror stories about League that I am like, I won't touch it.
It's like, do you want to play a game that you won't like while people you don't like tell you what a piece of shit you are? You should play League.
But yeah, no, I think one of the main characters starts to not really work for me once there's a time jump. It works really well. Her shtick works really well when she's younger. When she gets older, it becomes a little, I don't know. I didn't really love it. Gets a little cringy for me. But other than that, there's really great characters. I mean, some are better than others, but like I had a good time with it. Yeah. And it's only 9 episodes. Give it a try. It's really unique, really fun. Then I finally finished the animated Cowboy Bebop, and I still think it's overrated. Unless there's something big that I'm missing, like I think it could have been 10 episodes shorter, had the same effect at the end.
I mean, I think the biggest thing you're missing is not watching it in 1992 when it was 10 episodes shorter than most of the anime. No.
Oh, shorter than,
like it was, you know what I mean? It was better at that than other anime.
And like the ending, I get it. At least I think, unless there's something I'm missing.
Does it come to a definite conclusion?
Yeah.
Like I feel like there hasn't been like a story arc really.
Well, I mean, that's part of it. That's why I'm saying like, yes, I get it. I still think it could be 10 episodes story because there is kind of, I don't know if commentary is the right word on that, but like, yes, those things kind of serve a purpose altogether. But at the end of the day, is
it like
I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
Story?
Yeah.
Or?
Yes.
Okay.
How it ends feels like an alternate version of a trope that I really hate, and but at the same time, I really liked the ending. I was just like, I feel like you wasted a lot of my time to tell me this messaging. I guess like
Truman's been having me skip episodes, so I might not.
I mean, in my opinion, the only episodes you need to watch are like the first 5. Then you can watch the fridge episode, and then you're good. Go to the end. I don't know. I don't. For how hyped it is, I was a little disappointed. I mainly wanted to finish it because I wanted to watch this live action version that's on Netflix now, which apparently everyone hates. I watched the first episode and I was like, "This is the best thing you could have done. You've combined things from like important bits from some other episodes that I would say skip otherwise." Into the first episode, and now we don't have to watch those episodes. We don't have to do them. Then I got to episode 2. I was like, nah, fuck this show. Like, the main villain, who I already didn't really like, and in the cartoon, in the anime, they just butchered him pretty bad in the live action, to the point that I haven't watched past episode 2. I'm like, and since I know the ending, essentially, I'm like, if that's what you're going for with this character, I can't do it. I really like the style. I really like the casting of things for the most part, besides that guy. And I was having a lot of fun until the end, like halfway through episode 2. So I don't know if I can recommend that. They have canceled it already. They're not going to do anymore, which is part of me is kind of sad because I was really looking forward to it. I really love John Cho and what he brings to that show. And I know it was a big passion project of his, so it's a bummer that it didn't take off. I played a video game that I really fucking loved, and I beat it. It's called Death's Door, and holy shit! I mean, you do have to like the old school isometric Zelda type games. I will make a bold statement here and say this is better than any of the combat. The combat is better than any of the Zelda games. Yeah, combat's really good, simple, and it's really good. And you play as a little crow who works in an office of death, and they're in charge of carrying out the deaths of people in the world. And the story takes some fun twists and turns. I've heard it compared to Dark Souls a lot. That you can definitely see a couple influences here and there. It's definitely more Zelda than it is Dark Souls. The post-game stuff is very Dark Souls. There's a lengthy post-game stuff, especially if you don't look anything up.
Yeah.
It will take you a while to figure out a lot of these things, but it's very cool. Totally, it's just a lot of. It wasn't what I was expecting from this game. I wanted to play this game from what I had seen of it, and then the more I played it, the more I loved it, and just it's great. If you haven't played Death's Door yet, play it.
Is it on Game Pass?
Oh, I do not think so. I just barely got Game Pass.
Okay.
And I had beaten this before I got it, so I don't think it is though. I know it just came out on PlayStation. That's what I played it on.
Okay.
Then I also played Halo. I think I've talked everything I have to say about Halo, other than the shooting feels really fucking good. I think that first corridor part you're talking about, I was like, this is great. And then I got to the open world, I was like, this is still great, but I'm not sure I would have rather just had another Halo that feels like this, you know?
I feel like it's interesting hearing you say that, because it feels like I'm going to have I'm going to miss what I didn't know I had because I've kind of been rushing through that to be like, I want to see what the fuck
I mean, the open
is.
world has some things that it brings to the table that are fun that wouldn't be there otherwise. But I mean, we're talking about some mess ups. There's still some glitches in there that I'm like, how is this still in the game? I've mentioned this channel before. If you don't watch Digital Foundry, which is a YouTube channel that analyzes video game tech and like systems and engines and stuff and performance, they also do like PC optimized settings. So if like you're trying to figure out graphic settings and stuff, they're helpful. But yeah, their video on Halo is very fascinating because there's one that's super jarring where I guess everything is placed on a grid, like positioning wise. the further you get away from point 00, things start to become unstable. So the gun in your hands, the pieces are like shaking.
Yeah.
And there's like a swirly texture on your hands that is also shaking the further you get from that point. I'm like, once again, Microsoft's budget. How is this fucking happening? The lip syncing is at 30 frames per second locked. So all the other animations are running at 120 or whatever, and then you have this really choppy fucking. Same with some reload animations. That's in multiplayer too.
Weird.
Is like reload animations are at 30.
That's wild. I had no idea, but that explains some of the weird stuff I've seen.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
Have you heard that some of the employees at 343 have said that like the development on this game was absolute hell? I mean, that's like that's par for the course in the game industry.
I think
right
Schreier's
now,
making a career off of like just saying that about every game that comes out that people have some mixed feelings on, and he's just riding that to. Like, sources tell me.
The boy who shried wolf.
Some anonymous sources have told me development was hell.
Anytime they can like ham-fist Anthem into any sort of title just to have that in our minds so that inevitably when Anthem 2 comes out someday.
The ultimate clickbaity headline for Halo reads something like, Microsoft's Breath of the Wild, but has the failures of Anthem. Like, it's a mess. But it's also a really great mess. It's complicated. Hopefully they can get that stuff fixed. It becomes just a really fun, solid game because there's lots of potential.
I bet the multiplayer specifically in this game, a year from now, people are going to be like, this is the best Halo multiplayer that's ever been.
Well, guys, it did win Audience Choice of Best Game,
which is crazy.
At the Game Awards.
What the fuck?
It had been out for like 4 days. So.
I forgot.
And Resident Evil 8 didn't win fucking shit, and I'm pissed.
Neither did either. What's that game? The PS4 game that came out this year, the adventure game with the really cool like time. Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, that didn't get anything, and I don't think the other similar. I mean, it doesn't look. Shit, I'm so bad. Psychonauts. Yes, thank you. I don't think Psychonauts
fucking
got
incredible. Yeah,
either.
It should have won.
I haven't played it yet.
It's good.
It's
on Game Pass, dog.
I never beat one. I got pretty far in one.
Deathloop got like best art direction or something like that. Which
I mean, I will say I was pretty happy to see the guy who said "fuck the Oscars" win a Game Award. That's the least they could do for that guy.
Yeah.
And also,
true.
It Takes Two, legitimately fantastic game. I have no I love that game.
I wasn't really interested in it until it started getting hyped for this, and now I'll probably check
I just
it out.
loved whenever they cut to him and he's just in like a t-shirt.
Yeah, dude.
He was like lounging up on his chair.
Here's the thing. No one else could have won that award and been as fucking stoked as he was walking up there. And that's the clip that you want everyone to watch when they're thinking about watching the Game Awards next year. It's him going like, looks like the Oscars got fucked. It's been years in the making to build up to this. It's amazing. It's a way better ride than fucking Wheel of Time.
Last night I couldn't sleep, so I watched Free Solo for the first time.
How was that for trying to help you sleep?
I mean, like as someone who is terrified of heights in real life, it didn't affect me as strongly as I know some people have when watching it. Like, I was definitely like, holy shit, this dude's crazy. I think part of that wears off pretty quickly because it shows so much crazy shit that you're like, oh yeah, he's doing the thing. I was very fascinated just by the psychology of all of it, which I wish they would have delved more into, to be honest. Like the part with the MRI, I'm like, you didn't spend enough time on that. We should have been talking more about this. Like, and I get it, it's supposed to be about rock climbing, but I was like, man, you guys threw this whole relationship narrative in there that now I'm like really picking apart because I'm a terrible person. But yeah, I don't know. Really great. I recommend it heavily. It's about a guy who rock climbs big ass stuff without a rope.
What did you think about the reveal that he got his last name because he was just didn't know where he came from?
That was good.
I've been waiting. That's fucking stupid.
This is a political Star Wars movie about releasing the prisoner of Han Solo from Jabba's palace. But you know how the High Republic is. They're like, going back and forth with shit. Gungans are running things, so it goes really fucking slow. But yeah.
Oh, was that
That was a
Okay.
Solo reference. It was a very stupid Solo joke.
I got 10 minutes into that movie and said, fuck this. So.
Like, man, you're so
lucky.
yeah. Oh God, I
When people
you.
tell me that Solo and Rogue One are like the good Star Wars movies, I'm like, oh God.
What's wrong with Rogue One? I did like Rogue One.
There's things I like about Rogue One. I think narratively it sucks ass. That final battle's great. It looks
Yeah.
great. I don't give a shit about anyone in that movie, and
Fair.
they want me to at the end, especially.
Yes.
And I'm like, just give me more. I love the battle. That felt the most Star Wars that Star Wars had been for a while. But anyway, yeah.
But she rebels.
Oh God, I'm so glad they reshot.
Yeah,
That
I know. I think
shit.
about that all the time. Oh man,
The trailer was terrible. Anyway,
we're having a wonderful time.
Free Solo, which is a rock climbing movie, really
Sorry,
great.
I'm so sorry.
Really great. It's gotten me on like a kick of like watching really not as good quality documentaries about rock climbing that I have not finished any of them yet. But I'm like, I'm interested to see what's going on there.
You should try and find. I'm assuming that what's that rock climbing documentary festival thing that we go to occasionally with your dad every year?
I'm blanking out on it.
There's like a yearly like event.
It's like a traveling festival.
Yeah, where it's like just mini
Real
rock.
rock.
Yeah, that real REEL rock. That's just like climbing documentaries every year, and there's usually some pretty good ones. I'm assuming they've got to be available online somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
The
one about the little Japanese girl who boulders. I guess she's not little
She's not
anymore.
little anymore. Yeah,
But-
she's like the best climber in the world now, pretty much.
That one was really great.
Yeah, there's some really cool stuff, and there's usually like the one that's like shot in a way where everybody in it is just like they play up the stupid rock climber trope, like just like don't care about their lives or whatever, and then it turns out to be like these people are really incredible people, and I don't know, it's good stuff. There was one specifically I remember we watched about Tommy Caldwell and who's his climbing partner. I can't remember who the other guy is, but they basically lived on a wall in Yosemite for like a couple months, just hanging out up on the wall, trying to like I can't remember what
Where do
this
you shit?
in a bag off the side of the thing
Like
that they've got
Ziploc
set
sandwich
up.
bags?
How big are your shits?
Well, I meant like the gallon ones. Not like the little like Cheerio bags. Got to get it perfectly sized in there.
That's a sandwich bag.
I meant Ziploc, not sandwich. I just didn't know how else to word it without a brand name, because we don't want to get sued.
I was asking that question, not sure if I was revealing more about you or myself in that moment.
Dude, if you want to talk about my shits, I can talk about my shits all day long. Yeah.
Try and
But
find
honestly,
real
that's
rock.
what I was thinking about the whole time. I was like, these are the things I think about when I watch Lord of the Rings. I'm like, where are you guys shitting? Do you do it in front of each other? Like, what's going on?
And
Like-
then you realize that's how Legolas can track stuff so well. It's like you just got to know your shits. Just gotta know the shits.
Katie and I were actually talking about this because I brought that up. I was like, I've always wondered, like, because we were watching it right now, and then we're like, man, what is elf shit like? It's just like this nice, smooth white porcelain with like twisted candy ends that just slides right
And
out.
then you take that to the blacksmith and he makes a dagger for you.
An elf shit dagger.
Glows
it
blue with
hardens
orcs in
after.
the air.
I call it scat. God damn it. Yeah. Anyway, Free Solo made me want to rock climb again. Haven't done it in years. Then the last thing I'm kind of ashamed to say I watched, but also now I'm like not because I'm actually enjoying it. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh my god.
We literally just watched an episode of this right before we came over here because Truman had something that he wanted to show us, and I was like, This show.
Did you watch like the very first episode?
We watched an episode where a chef makes somebody's teeth come out, and like.
Oh, I've not seen this episode yet.
It must be
Season 4.
Okay, season 4.
I'm still on season 1, but I finished the first arc of season 1. Now it's time jump significantly, which I love. Like, I think I mentioned this before. I'm all about like big character you thought was going to be in it is now dead, and life is never going to be the same. Good luck with that. And I'm like, yes, hurt me more, please. I've never seen a show that is so dark yet the most optimistic thing I've ever seen in my life. And I think that's what I enjoy most about it. The first season's, I mean, the whole show's really fucking weird. It's a soap opera anime, which should tell you all you need to know about the tone of this thing. It is wild and all over the place. And it's also very self-aware of anime in itself. And it almost feels like a parody of anime, but in the best possible way. Like, there's not like, it's not like they picked like the low-hanging fruit. They're not like, oh, someone's falling into boobs every 5 minutes. It's like just really fun, over-the-top stuff. There's like, all the people are named after like rock music things. So, like, I'm pretty sure JoJo's supposed to be a reference to the Beatles, JoJo, and then this guy named Ario Speedwagon. And they like he's the best. He's essentially works as an announcer for the whole show. He doesn't do anything. He sits off to the side and narrates like the battles. He's like, JoJo's using this, and he's a criminal who has seen the light because JoJo was such a gentleman. It takes place in like Victorian England. The first arc does, and and he's just a gem. The show's really weird. It's just dripping with bisexual energy, and I'm really liking it. There are so many episodes. I looked through all the seasons. There's like one season that has like 42 episodes, and I'm like, wow, at least I'm gonna be living this for a while, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, I was very skeptical because of the online presence it has, but there's like 3 different subreddits for it that constantly make it on the front page, and I'm like, okay, I'll fucking try it. And
I will say, I really hope some specific people aren't listening, because there are certain people who, every time I see them, it's either I need to watch One Piece, and then someone else's, every time I see them, it's literally I get told all about the latest arc of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. So,
oh man,
I don't know. Maybe I'll follow you down.
I can't say that anyone here is gonna like it. It's such like a tentative thing. I'm like, it's hit me at the right point in my life that something very, very dark yet incredibly optimistic is exactly what I am at. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to sell for anyone else, but I'm really enjoying it.
Cool.
And that's all I got.
Okay. Oh, I did remember one thing to go along with my West Side Story recommendation. There's a YouTube video. I don't remember the name of the YouTube video. The YouTube channel is called Sideways. I haven't seen the rest of this guy's channel. I assume he's like a music theory guy, because he has an 18-minute video about West Side Story and how Leonard Bernstein tells the entire story of West Side Story in 3 notes, and it's fucking incredible. I didn't understand half of it, but my mind was blown by the stuff I did understand. So yeah, watch that too.
What's the channel?
Sideways.
Sideways?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check that out. That sounds
Anyways,
cool.
Leonard
It's
Bernstein
really cool.
just reminds me of that John Mulaney bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. John
Leonard
Mulaney's great.
Bernstein. I can't even remember the joke. What does he say? He's like,
It says, Leonard or what does he say? Oh, it's because he's talking about the sex talk that he got.
yeah.
And he's like,
Oh,
he wrote some of the greatest music, and he was it's something about him repressing his gayness or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's something like when he did write the best music, he was hiding his gay or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
And then John Mulaney's like,
We don't have time to unpack all of that.
yeah. I just remember part of that joke ends with John Mulaney goes, and I think, what would Leonard Bernstein do right before I go down on some hot twink? But yeah, anyways, Leonard Bernstein is a musical genius. I have no other commentary. Yeah, we'll be back after holidays with something new. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll figure it out. We'll find something. But yeah, thank you for listening. You've been here with me, Tyler Harris, and
Gwen Hammer.
Tyler McKinley.
Justin Hammer.
goodbye.